Hi there. I want to recap the last lesson where we were looking at selections and layers. Bottom right here we had the layers panel, and this is the stack of layers. If you remember, I had some pictures on acetate, and each one of these could be moved up and down the stack. Let me just use the move tool, which is top left. If I move this snowboard around, you can see moving around over the other images. Currently this stack, this snowboarder, is above the greenhouse image in the stack. So you've got snowboarder at the top and greenhouse. If I left click on snowboard, and drag it down a layer, can you see the little blue lines? Now the snowboard is behind the greenhouse. And if I left click and drag it down again, can you see the little double blue lines, which shows it's just going to slot in there? Now it's behind the flower lady and the greenhouse. And if I drag it right up the way back up to the top, it's now the top layer. When I've got the move tool on, we have auto select top left here, which tries to help you select the right layer automatically. So I can click on the flower lady and move her around, and I can click on the greenhouse and move that around. Sometimes it selects the wrong layer. You can tell which is the layer which is selected because it's the lighter grey one, but we can just click on these by left clicking to select them manually. So with the snowboard selected, which I seem to have lost the ability to pronounce, in a modern version of Photoshop you can just left click and do select subject, and it should think about it and make a pretty good selection all by itself. Then we can click on the mask button, which is this one. Looks a little bit like the Japanese flag. It's also duplicated on the bottom right down here, but we can just click that one and it hides the background. As we talked about briefly, a mask tends to be either black or white. I can show you this by clicking on it. This is the mask, and if I select the paintbrush, looks like a little paintbrush here, I can choose between white or black, and using these two colour picker windows here. There's a little tiny arrow beside it lets you switch between the two. The one at the front is the selected colour, so if I draw on in white, you see me drawing on there, this is drawing a hole in the mask. So if I just click out of my mask, you can see where I'm drawing, and I'm kind of drawing back in the sky which we hid. It's much better to hide things than just cut them out completely, because we can always put them back. As I'm painting on this, you see it's not painting it on very well. It's kind of patchy. This is because the opacity is too low. Opacity is how see-through something is. So turn the opacity up to full. You can see we can then draw in the background freehand. I'm just going to fix this bit where I missed as well, which allows us to kind of change the look of the image. So we've got some of the sky showing and him cut out. What other selection tools do we have here? If I right click on this button here, we've got the object selection tool, the quick selection tool, and the magic wand tool. Object selection tool is similar to the selection tool we just used down here, only you can drag a box around an item. This isn't going to work. The reason this didn't work, could not find an object to select. There might be enough edge contrast, or the object might be too small. What's actually happened here is I had selected the mask, which hasn't got anything on it, and it's just completely black. And I hadn't selected the layer with my sailboat. So if I select my layer with the sailboat, it then knows which layer we're on. So you can see it selects there as I drag over it. But I can just drag a box, and it should do a reasonably good job of selecting it. There we go. I can also deselect it. Now, do you see this thing going pink when I highlight it? When I just mouse over it, let's deselect. This is Photoshop's Object Finder, which is up here, which is using a clever piece of software to think what it is in the image I want to select. So I can go over the boat, just left click it once, and again it just automatically selects it, and you can tell it's selected because we have the marching ends, which are these little dotted lines which are kind of going around the outside. Let's deselect that again. Let's select the flower lady. Again, as I mouse over the flower lady, can you see it's offering me some selections? It's letting me select her, the head of the flower. Doesn't seem to want to let me do the background. But it's also missing some parts. So I can left click her. Couldn't find an object to select. Oh, that's unusual because it had already chosen it. There we go, selected her already. But it's got her, but it's not got this flower. We can add two selections. Up here, we've got 4 options. We've got new selection, add to selection, subtract to from selection, or intersect with selection. Now we want to add to selection. So if I click on the flower, just click it once, then it's added it, and this whole area is now selected, more or less. Again, fairly useful. So if we hit the mask again, then we can drop out the background. And it's not done a perfect job, it's missed some little bits, but we could always paint those areas back in using the mask. Now while we've got the mask selected, can you see it's got a little white box around it? So I can select the picture or the mask. When I've got the mask selected, I've got options for density, feather, select a mask, color range, or invert. If I hit invert, it swaps the black and white areas. So then we've got the complete reverse image selected, which sometimes is exactly what you need. Brilliant, thank you for watching. We would then go to File, Save As, to save a PSD, which is a Photoshop document, which lets us open it back up again with all the layers intact so we can carry on working. It's like work in progress. Or we can go File, save a copy, and save it out as a JPEG. A JPEG's handy because Word or PowerPoint can open a JPEG if you want to add those images in when you're writing up what you've done. Brilliant, thank you for watching.